This is Jim Bratton Podcast, Business Edition. In-depth conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners. Now, here's Jim.
Hi, this is Jim Bratton, and today we're talking to Hunter Simmons. Hunter Simmons is a lawyer based in Houston, and this is the second of our podcasts with Hunter. Hunter, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jim, for having me again. I called you, Jim, because I wanted to talk to you about the attorney-client privilege as it relates to Gideon v. Wainwright. Gideon v. Wainwright was a Supreme Court case from 1963 that ruled unanimously that the Sixth Amendment guarantee of counsel is a fundamental right that applies to states through the 14th Amendment. It basically says, hey, everyone has the right to a lawyer. Okay, and that gave the United States government the power to appoint lawyers for people that were indigent people or people that can't afford their own attorney.
Right.
That rule, as I've gotten a decade into practice, I want to rephrase that rule to say no good deed goes unpunished, right?
Okay.
Is that a good idea?
All righty.
It's a good idea, but I've found that my appointed cases are a lot more time-consuming when it comes to the dance a lawyer and a client do around, well, I came to this lawyer because I had this really tragic situation occur in my life,
Right.
and now I'm facing jail time and fines and losing freedoms, but can I really trust this person that I haven't paid a single cent to?
Hunter, where does that come from? Where does that whole concept? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but how does that sense of mistrust when somebody's basically sort of doing you a favor, how does that come about, do you think?
Well, the Sixth Amendment guarantees every United States citizen a right to counsel.
Right.
I'll read it to you. The Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees the right to counsel for criminal defendants in all criminal prosecutions,
Okay.
regardless of whether the trial is federal or state or whether the defendant can afford a lawyer. The right to counsel includes the right to have an attorney represent the defendant in their defense. Having said that, there are a lot more hurdles of trust to jump over for the lawyer, and the lawyer is not getting paid by the client until the case is over. So there's this incentive to kind of, get in and get out, do the bare minimum so that I don't risk getting sued for ineffective assistance of counsel. And I hate to say it to you, Jim, but criminal defense isn't rocket science, really. We file discovery motions, we collect the evidence, we look at the evidence, we see if there's suppression issues. Like I said to you maybe in my first podcast, I love what I
I know you do.
but my biggest fear, number one, is an actually innocent client. I learned that from a gray hair that used to mentor me. I didn't understand it at first, but what that means basically is if they're actually innocent, then and we don't win the case, that's my fault. So it puts even more added pressure on me to demonstrate trustworthiness to the client so that we can get an outcome they agree on. The second thing that's the biggest fear of mine is a cop that tells the truth, okay? So that should tell you two things.
Right.
One is it's rare that you have an actually innocent client.
Okay.
I'm not going to put a number on it, but all my clients are guilty mostly, okay, of something.
Yes. Okay.
Okay? We all make mistakes. I try to demonstrate that I've been in their shoes because I've been accused and convicted of crime, like misdemeanors in law school, DWI. And so I've been in their shoes, right?
Yeah.
That works with some that my clients that come to me from word of mouth,
Right.
but I do some appointed work out in Fort Bend sometimes.
Right.
Just to keep my name out there.
Right.
And I keep telling these clients all these personal things about me because I'm a firm believer that I can't ask you to tell me something personal about yourself until I tell you something personal about myself, right?
Right.
And so I try to throw an arm around my appointed case clients and be like, look, I've been there, dude. So, and on top of that, I know that the only way my practice grows, and I have such a luxury, I get to do what I love, and I get to be my own boss. On top of the fact that I've been in their shoes, the other thing that I try to instill in my clients, and my retained clients know this, but the annoying thing about no good deed goes unpunished is that it takes me so much more, because these appointed cases, they don't know me, right? And they don't know that at the end of the day, I mean, I don't do appointments for the money. No. I do it for the trial experience. And I want a walking referral at the end of the day. Well,
coupled with that, it is a good deed.
Yeah. I just get
you lose sight of that sometimes, the way it sounds, because of all the stuff that goes with it.
That's exactly right. So if anybody out there is listening, you need a lawyer that you can trust.
Yes.
Okay. And you really got to outline before you go choose one to go in the foxhole with to get you out of this huge shit sandwich that you found yourself in. Right.
Yes.
You need to really speak clearly and not try to take things personally. Sometimes we, as lawyers, I, for one, definitely come across a little too brash, a little too impatient, a little too tired of bullshit. Yeah. Like, let's just get to it. Like, tell me exactly what you mean, right? And there's a lot of feelings that go into people that find themselves making mistakes and getting arrested, right?
So
lots of emotions.
Well, and sometimes not a desire to tell it as succinctly as possible, either because you'd like to point to all the extenuating circumstances that you feel, or that that the potential criminal feels. So yeah. So how?
And so they do this dance of spinning the truth, when in truth, in fact, we're gonna find out like what the evidence is anyway. So like I understand if you don't trust your lawyer, that you need to spin the truth so that you don't think they're going to sell you up the river, because in my experience, people that need appointed lawyers, they've been betrayed of no fault of their own sometimes. And they have trust issues. We all have trust issues.
Yeah.
God knows I've dealt with that personally. But at the end of the day, we just try to focus on what we can control and how best to solve the problem.
So if I was to summarize, suppose I was someone who had an issue and you were brought in as my attorney, I would need to, number one, be truthful with you, no matter how bad the truth reflected on me.
That is for sure.
And
because we can get out in ahead of stuff.
How can I know that and I need to trust you? What can be done to ensure that person is more likely to trust their appointed attorney, do you think?
There's a Stoic philosophy quote that's by Marcus Aurelius that says, pay attention to what's in front of you, the principle, the task, or what's being portrayed. And then he follows that up with another quote that I love that says, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. As appointed counsel or retained counsel in a criminal case, I try to take it very seriously, that I'm not just flippant with my words, that they can take all that I say to them to the bank. And that's the only thing I can control.
Right.
But the sooner the client realizes that can be reciprocated, the sooner they'll realize that they can be another dismissal or not guilty on my win wall. And everybody wins.
Man, it's been a pleasure talking to Hunter Simmons about the intricacies of a client-attorney relationship and how important it is for there to be trust. Hunter, thank you for making those points with us. And we'll look forward to the next Hunter Simmons podcast.
Thank you, Jim. Always a pleasure.
This has been Jim Breton Podcast. We hope you have enjoyed, been inspired, informed, angered, or otherwise emotionally stimulated. This is your booth announcer, Sierra Sakel.